I relate to the movie is like, oh, this is, if I follow this movie next time, I might have a chance to go to Newcastle also.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Futbol Kaki. I am your host Aldet and I am joined by my mainstay and fellow Kaki bro Paul. And today we have a special guest in our fellow SG draft bro, Chit chatter bro, Kopi bro, Mr. Chin Yong. Bro, welcome to the Futbol Kaki. How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Okay, we were getting to mention why JY is here because we have a very special episode. But before we want to get into that, some slight interesting football news. Declan Rice is going to Arsenal.
Oh, confirm already.
Declan.
Yes. Declan Rice is going to Arsenal. But just so everybody know, by the time the news of this comes out already, right, we've actually recorded this kind of like a week period in advance. So when the news comes out already, we are kind of reacting to it as it goes lah.
Kai Havertz also going Arsenal, right?
Yes, correct. Havertz is going Arsenal, right? Then other news, right? Man United dropped the ball again. Kim Min-jae is likely going to Bayern. We shall see, okay. Right? And of course, Paul, when are we getting our club sold? I'm getting very frustrated.
Bro, I don't know who. Now it's currently the only thing we released in the entire of June was a new jersey. Right?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, like I told you, we need new owners, not new jerseys.
Yes, bro. Hey, but the jersey is nice though. Like I do like. Don't buy. I do like the jersey, but bro, I haven't bought like the main jersey in a while because I find some of them like super ugly.
So like, even if you were planning to buy, right, I feel that you should buy after the ownership change. Right?
Yeah, bro. Like they had a protest outside the Megastore. I think like a few days ago, or was it yesterday when the kit officially got released? Right? So
yeah,
it's
but
like,
I feel the United fan base is too big to get everyone together to not buy the jersey. You get what I mean?
Yes.
It's like there will always be people who will buy just because they like the jersey or because they like the club. But for hardcore fans like us, we die say there's a bigger problem, which is the Glazers.
Yep.
They need to go out first, then before we can like even start supporting the club. Because I feel at this point, a lot of Man United fans are already like winded already by this whole ownership saga.
Fiasco.
Correct.
Yeah, but it's bad bro. I can tell you first.
I mean, it's bad this has been dragging on since during the middle of the season, right? But like I said, disclaimer, right? By the time maybe when this episode airs, right, maybe the ownership has already changed. We do not know.
No,
but
bro, that's what they want you to think, bro.
Yeah, we are recording this. Just another disclaimer: we are recording this at least a few days in advance. So at the time of the release of this video, right, the news might have changed lah. So just a quick disclaimer over here. So today, other than the frustrations of Man United and a few other things, and the fact that we have a new guest today, why JY is on today is because in our group of friends right here at the Chit Chatter, right, JY is a avid movie buff. He loves movies, and today, because I have a movie buff on this episode and our close friend, we are going to do a movie review today, which is of course football related. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard about this movie, which has been released in 2005. It is called Goal. The Dream Begins. Following a young Mexican player that was discovered in Los Angeles by a former Newcastle scout and of course ex-player that told him that, look, if you come to Newcastle, the manager's willing to give you a trial. So he flew all the way from LA.
Wait, you have to
explain
the beginning first. Like how this scout even sees him.
Yeah, okay. So very simple lah. Okay, so this must remember this is our first movie, so we are still like grasping along the way, right? So in general, right, he basically just found Santiago Munez, right, the main character, right, in a park.
Yeah.
While he was watching his nephew play, then he turned around and they were just so happened to be on the same field. And Santiago Munez did the 2005 Ronaldo type of thing lah, where he dribbled past everybody and scored lah. So for that, right, is basically they're looking at it like, oh, I've got a player with a bit of magic. Maybe I can convince him to come over to Newcastle, get some credibility, but also develop him into a player where he could probably do something. So the whole movie is based off of this premise. He goes through, of course, certain forms of adversity, like opposition from parents, not being accepted when he comes in by the existing reserve players and senior players. Then, of course, slowly as the team develops, right, his manager challenges him more. He meets with one of his premier teammates who carries on through the second and third movie, which is Gavin Harris.
Gavin Harris.
And then, of course, the climax is, of course, the big game against Liverpool. Lah. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about our impressions of the movie, the memorable scenes, the worst scenes, which can also be plot holes that we also don't know why are they there, whether the football was realistic or cheesy. I got a few things about to say this. Was whether or not of the trilogy, right, this was the best, and of course, where does it rank on the list of football movies? Because to be really frank, there's not a lot of like soccer or football movies lah. But on the ones that we already know that have been released, where does this rank? So with that, let's get into today's episode. And I just want to ask the both of you, right? When was the first time you watched this movie?
When or where?
When?
When it came out, yeah. I think it was in 2005, right? Like you said.
2005, right? How
yeah,
old
but
were
I remember watching it. I didn't watch it in movie. I didn't watch it in the theaters. I watched it in the, in the past where you can go to Malaysia and buy the pirated DVDs.
Is this the right thing to review here?
Yes, I also was like wondering. Okay, when was the first time you watched this movie?
I think I watched it on a Channel 5 rerun. So it's, I think, a few years after the movie was released.
Oh, Channel 5 reruns, yeah.
Yeah.
That was when last time they got the commercial, right? I remember always got the lower third.
Yeah, correct.
When the gold lower third will come out.
Every other climax will have a advertisement, alright.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Then it's like, alright, climax of the movie, then suddenly advertisement come out. Then you're like, wow! the pains of growing up in Singapore when you were a kid.
Yeah.
But for me, my one was more when it was released on DVD. So it was the first time I watched on DVD, but I actually saw the trailer. But at the time, right, I was only probably maybe like about Sec 2, Sec 3.
No.
Then like I think I didn't really like at the time you need to either go out with your friends or you need to go with your parents to go watch movie most of the time. Then the thing is that most of my friends, right, didn't really watch soccer other than Paul. Then Paul was like still young.
I was primary 5,
yes.
bro.
Yeah, he was still primary 5, everything, right? So I think that time the rating was what? Was it PG?
I don't know, bro. I watched it on the pirated DVD. I watched it.
Yeah, because technically at the time, Paul cannot even go into the cinema to go and watch the movie. So because of that, right, I was like, okay, like, just go and convince my father, go and get the DVD after we watch it at home. So, what's your first impressions of this movie after watching it for the first time?
The first time I watched it, right, I actually quite enjoyed it in the sense that you can really see the whole football, the football person's journey.
Yep.
Like really from like being scouted from nowhere to going for a tryout, and then like even all the potential hazards like getting rich and getting famous too quickly.
Yeah.
Then like your teammates bring you and go do stupid stuff. And then like things happen like his father's death. I think they tried to encompass quite a lot of things. So when I first watched it, I actually quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who are watching, right, if you never watched this movie, I just note that there will be spoilers. just first disclaimer.
Cannot talk about this movie without spoilers.
Confirm man. Because it's a very linear storytelling. It's very, very obvious that it's very linear. There's not much heavy surprises lah. I think. Paul, what was your first impressions of the movie?
Yeah, similar to JY, right? I feel that when you watch, it brings you from like the beginning where he is a nobody.
Yeah.
Like he is like working in a Chinese restaurant, and then after his shifts, he'll take the bus and play kick about stuff in like let's say Los Angeles. Like there's one very iconic moment when at the start he came in late, right? Yeah. And then the referee didn't let him come in because he had no shin pads.
Yeah. He go and find the box.
he had to tear the cardboard box and put
yeah.
But the moment he did that, he like straight away like helped the team to score a goal. Yeah. And then after that, it gives you a glimpse of what he is capable of. Like football is his passion, and like he can really express himself through football.
Yeah.
But then he is brought back to the reality of life where he has to earn a living for his father, work as a cleaner for his father in a brothel.
Yeah.
Work in a Chinese restaurant.
His father go couple his money, right?
He's given a opportunity by Glenn Foy to like you said, go to trial on Newcastle.
At Newcastle.
Yeah. So if I fast forward everything, and then also whenever like I was playing football, right, whenever people watch, I would like, hey, maybe there'll be somebody in the crowd who will like ask me to play for them, that kind. So it really gives you like it really takes your mentality lah. Like no matter who is watching or not, you should always play your best when you play football.
Yep.
Yeah. So it really gives you like the facade lah. Like, hey, you play like that, you can play in Newcastle.
Yeah.
This time.
Yeah, because it's essentially what they're doing, right, is basically how the English football like scheme they actually set up, right? They send scouts into different areas to actually go and find players that probably will maybe like either get signed to the academy or given a shot at maybe like the reserve team or potential transfer.
Just a trial, you know.
Yeah, but for this case, because Santiago is like a complete unknown, like he's not doing this professionally. Technically, at the kickabout that he's doing, right, is a basic like, amateur league. It's a Sunday league lah. So because of that, right, he the flow of where he goes from Sunday league to become professional footballer, right, the jump actually it gives people hope. I say, okay, I can achieve my dream lah. But for me, right, what I thought about the impressions of this movie when it was like coming off, first impressions was that wow, there's actually a football movie. Proper football movie. Not like those type of things where we grew up when we were kids, right? Like, you know, like those movies like Airbud, Big Green.
Bend It Like Beckham.
Right?
which is like, I mean, like, no taking away from them, right? They're great, right? But just that the thing is that they're not like football.
Yeah.
Like where you finally dive into like a professional club that people know of, or like you dive in and then you have like real like matches and everything where the clubs you are familiar with, like Fulham, Liverpool, then the reserve structures, then reserve also had the Manchester and the reserves and everything. So it's more like they're really doing what, like even like current day TV shows, like what Ted Lasso is doing prior to Ted Lasso.
Oh, but Ted Lasso is done so much better.
Yes, correct. But the Ted Lasso, I feel like, is a much bigger budget.
True.
So it's different now. And the thing is that it's always interesting because football is football. Everybody loves football, right? But the thing is that outside of the US, right, not everybody does movies as well as Hollywood. So the thing is that because of that, you're not going to get a lot of football movies from the US or Hollywood.
Plus, I think in terms of US, if they want to make a movie about sports, football is not the first thing they're going to make. Right?
No.
They can make basketball, they can make American football. In fact, American football has so many movies,
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why you see that there's really like a lot more like American football or like baseball or basketball movies that feature American and Hollywood actors rather than you feel like soccer or football lah.
Moneyball.
So like when this movie came out, right, is for all of us, I think it's like, wow, yes, there's finally a football movie that represents us football fans.
Yeah.
So moving on, we've already given our impressions, right? What are the memorable scenes that you actually remember? I've got like maybe a few, but I want to hear what JY has on his list.
Memorable scenes. For me, one of the very memorable scenes was, for the wrong reasons, was his free kick against Liverpool. That was before I started supporting Liverpool and I start watching, and then I'm like, wow, like, you know, it's a perfect climax to the whole story. Yeah. So and then he had European qualification on the cards, according to the Peter Drury. Yeah. So I think that was quite memorable. Then I think the other part that was very memorable was when he first went to Newcastle. Yeah, and then he stayed at the agent's house. Then I think he didn't have money. He didn't have this, didn't have that. House. Yeah, correct. Then he had to like, even Glenn Foy had to give him money to like go eat breakfast. Then he like, he didn't even have a place to train. And then his first training session, for the tryout, right, he cannot whack like quite jialat. Then like, wow, like the ball slippery, raining, cannot even kick all this thing. Wow, I feel for him, that scene.
Yeah, bro. I mean, those are some of the scenes I remember, but I'll get into my list later. Paul, what was your memorable scenes?
Bro, I think the first memorable scene is when he went to Newcastle. Then Gavin Harris brought him to the party, right?
Yeah.
That's where you saw David Beckham, Zidane, and Raul.
Oh, I know which line.
Then when you're watching the show, it's like, hey, Zidane, Raul, you know, Beckham. So it really relates to, because at the time, really, you were playing FIFA, you're watching EPL, you're watching Champions League.
Yeah.
Then you were like, hey, Zidane. Like, it relates to you so much in the moment, you know, like, hey, I didn't expect them to be in the movie, that kind, yeah. And then the other one was when he made his debut for Newcastle. When he was on the team sheet, right? There's a young, unproven talent, Santiago Munez. Then when he came in, he straight away dribbled and then he drew the foul, right? Or drew the penalty, I remember. Yeah, so that was like the two most iconic scenes for me in this show, other than the free kick that JY has already mentioned, yeah.
Okay. So for me, right, other than the free kick, I think the free kick is like the climax of the entire movie, the one where it happened, right? But for me, right, the one I've got about 3 scenes here. One of it is the first one is of course the one where when his grandma gives him the money.
Oh, yeah. To buy the ticket to go
finally
Newcastle.
go, right? Then the whole journey from like him going all the way from LA all the way to Newcastle.
No.
Newcastle, right? Then
he from LA go back to Mexico first.
Mexico, yeah.
Correct. Because he's an illegal.
Correct.
Then after that, the whole journey is basically from LA to Mexico City to London. Then the London one where they say, "Are you here for business or pleasure?" Then they say, "I'm on trial here for Newcastle." Then just so happened the guy behind him is a Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
The boss.
He's like, "Oh, you need all the help you can get." And he
then after he goes in, makes a phone call. Then after he goes all the way to Newcastle via train. So I find that one is touching because like it shows you like the difference in support between the grandmother and the father. The point context, the father took his money to go and settle some expenses for a truck. The grandmother sold stuff and took her money, gave it to him to support his dream.
Yeah.
So it's like a two very different dynamics.
Approaches lah. Yeah.
Correct. My second one, right, is a very small scene. It's very quick. You all know the movie, right, got Santiago's friend, the one that he first comes in, the one that cannot the injury.
Oh
Jamie,
yeah. The guy got
Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. The knee.
I can't remember off the. I can't remember off the top of my head, right? But one of my favorite scenes in this movie, I'll always remember, right? Every time this scene comes out, I'll always cite the line is that they're working out, right? Then he leans out over from the Smith machine, right, to ask Santiago. He said that, "Hey, do you want to go out for a drink?" Then they were like talking. Then Santiago asked him, "How old do you have to be to get a drink in this town?" Then he looks 11. Because the drinking culture in the UK is very strong, ma. So basically, it's a reference of the UK culture, which I thought was very witty and quite funny. And then the last one, of course, is the one where he when he comes back from the airport after he was thinking whether he should go back and support the father's business. Like essentially thinking that what he wants to give us his dream, right? Then he goes on this long monologue, right? Then he tells the manager in front of the manager. He tells the manager, "I said that the only person that can tell me I'm not good enough is you." Then I was like, okay, this kid knows what is at stake.
What he's doing, yeah.
Knows what he's doing. Then I think from there, right, that left the impression on his manager. So with that, we've got a few memorable scenes. I think there are a lot more, but then we also don't want to over, because I think if you do all the memorable scenes in this movie, we'll probably do the whole
movie review already.
The whole movie like podcast in full, right? Just memorable scenes on what we think already. But I want to do something different. I want to go to the Tobalik side of this. The opposite side is basically what the worst scenes, right? And honestly, right, you know what's the part that I want to say something? This is a stinging thing. I'm just gonna say this one. I don't really have much plot holes, but I have this one thing that kind of irritated me a lot. You know that free kick against Liverpool? He used his left foot.
I'll say he took it on his left foot.
That part just irritates me like so much, right? Because he used his left foot, right? But the whole movie, right, you never see him use his left foot. You only see him use his right. Then when he's taking free kick, his right foot. That out of nowhere suddenly is a left foot curve, like perfect ball into the top corner one. Then I'm like, I was thinking like maybe you can do the Roberto Carlos banana ball go outside, right? But he used his left foot. Then I'm like, okay, never mind. Yeah, but for both of you, right, like I just start with Paul, right? What's your worst scene in the movie? Or the scene that you feel like, I didn't do anything at all?
Like we extra, is it?
Yeah, like really doesn't do anything for the movie whatsoever.
Okay, like I wouldn't say like didn't do anything, but more like the unrealistic part. But then again, it is a movie, right? It's like when he was already sent back to, like, he failed the trial, so they asked him to pack his bag and go back to US, right?
Yeah.
And then just so happened he takes the cab, and then just so happened he
Gavin Harris.
Gavin Harris is the one that will come and save him.
Yeah.
So I find that part a bit cheesy, like, to be honest, and a bit. Yeah, and the whole entire time it portrayed the manager as a very unreasonable person, up to the point where Gavin Harris like saved him, you know. Like he didn't want to listen to Glenn Foy. He didn't want to when Santiago went to the trial, he wasn't even watching him. but in the real reality, managers have to be very like attention to detail and all that, right?
But the thing is that I find that they portray managers well because some managers are like that. They have to be.
The Mr. Don Helm, right?
Yeah. Because I find that like in football, right, if you are not cutthroat to your players, right, especially managers, right, then the players would probably just feel like, okay, I'm good enough, even though they are basically not where they're expected to be to represent the club.
So no, actually, like, the part where he was at the trial, he wasn't even watching. He was like on his phone.
No, that one was unfair. That one I feel was unfair. So when Glenn talked to him the second time, right, he made up that point, and that one I feel is realistic. Yeah. So he gained his chances, but then of course when he lied about not having asthma, right, then that one made his situation worse. That's
because Santiago also don't know a lot of things, but when he came to Newcastle,
correct.
Don't know whether he should review and all that. Yeah.
Which I find that like I ask you, JY, right? Do you think that they portrayed like the person chasing his dream, right, that he's very scared of losing it, like very well in this movie?
Of course. I think like Paul say, one of the things I find a bit confusing is that I don't know why like he got God helping him one. Like every time he's about to fail the trial, then there'll be someone that will come in and help him one. Be it the scout, then be it Gavin Harris, then be it, I don't know, like what
the guy stepped on his
drivers, so many
inhaler also. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So many taxi drivers in Newcastle, then it has to be the one that he is on to go and pick up Gavin Harris. Wow, that one 很厉害. That one I have to say powerful.
No, I know. That one is too much of a coincidence, right? Right? But the thing is that because the story is so linear, that you can actually tell that something like that was going to happen.
Yeah, you need to make it right? Exciting a bit, right? Or like the drama.
No, plus also is the cross point of when the two characters meet.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so is when it's like it had to come sooner or later because when you watch the movie, right, I think you also agree, right? Like you could tell Glenn's not the main character. You could tell that he's not the main supporting character. I mean, so you could tell Santiago's one, right? Then there has to be a main supporting character, which I think is
Gavin Harris.
Which I was like, all of us knew was like, okay, it's going to be Gavin Harris. Yeah,
ask him to steal the Jurassic Park egg. You know Jurassic Park 3, Gavin Harris is still the egg, right?
Yeah. But do you any worse scenes or scenes that you find like why is it there?
Okay, one of the scenes I really don't like was the death of his father.
Oh, why?
Because for me, number one, it really came as a very, very big sudden thing that happened.
Yep.
Then I mean like I understand the need for the movie to so-called say that, that a lot of these things on the path of becoming a professional is not that smooth lah.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the death of his father it left a very bitter taste because for me this movie was about being inspirational, being like it's supposed to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
So I thought for me personally I would have preferred if he had made terms with his father. And then the unhappy ending, even if let's say you tell me he has some very important injury, and then he played his last game against Liverpool, but he fulfilled his dream. That one I can accept. Yeah, but I think the death of his father and then not coming to terms with it, something so emotional for me is a bit, it left a bitter taste in my mouth honestly, yeah.
I understand. Any other scenes?
Yeah, I think like Paul said just now, the taxi scene, yeah. So for me personally, for Gavin Harris and for Munez to have such a close relationship, I would have preferred if let's say their first meeting was done under different circumstances and you sort of flesh out why they become good friends. Maybe they have similar backgrounds, or maybe like there's something in Munez that Gavin Harris sees that he doesn't have, so he wants to protect it or whatever lah.
Correct.
Yeah, so I didn't see that in the first meeting. Yeah.
No, because if you think about that, right, I was thinking that maybe the point where Gavin Harris and Munez should have been their first training session. When he did the trial, the one where he did the
rain, right?
That went over in the rain, Then I feel that one is a mid point because Gavin Harris has seen what he can do. So by right, it would have been better if let's say Gavin Harris went over like maybe say a nice job or something like that. So they've already met in contact or something like that already.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for you in the first team.
I find that the reason why I think maybe it made more to the writers, it made more sense to do it later, right? Is probably maybe because it doesn't fit Gavin Harris's personality if he were to go out to Santiago at the start.
True also.
Because he's like those type of like party boy, playboy, those type of things like to do late, right? So for him to be late for training, right, actually makes sense in the context. Because he's not really a mentor type of figure. Like versus as to what I think. So I think maybe at that point in time, the only way to film is that particular scene. Like, even though I also find it's a bit like the chances of that happening is like way too low.
Yeah.
Like it's not it's a bit unrealistic. So speaking of unrealistic, right? I want to ask you the question, right? Was the football realistic actually? I asked the footballer, Paul.
I think it's okay. Like if you see, right, like if you just take it to any debutants in the Premier League, right? Like example Makeda, Januzaj, even what's his name? Like those they will suddenly come in one game and then score like a winner. So I think very realistically would be the Makeda thing, right? Instant impact from the bench. Like unheard of that kind. Yeah, so
correct, but the thing is that Makeda didn't really have that. Like his first game was remembered for that goal, right? But the actual game that he played wasn't great.
yeah, but it's just a moment that everyone remembers him. Everyone will just go back to that moment.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Yeah. So the football.
That's true.
I mean, okay, realistically they were losing to Liverpool. So yes. But at that time they had Alan Shearer, they had Solano, is it?
Clivert also.
Clivert, yeah.
No, they had like, I think if I'm not wrong, that team was like Laurent Robert, Jermaine Genius, Lee Bowyer, Alan Shearer, Stephen Carr, Patrick Clivert, and Patrick Clivert. I think that it was that team. I think goalkeeper Shea Given.
If
I'm not mistaken. So I mean like
But yeah, I think the football is realistic.
Yeah.
Like he never scored for for 40 years. Then maybe the free kick a bit unrealistic. The last one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. What do you think about the football?
I think perspective is important. So when I watched it on the Channel 5 replay a few like 10 plus years back, right? I remember being very impressed. Like I feel that wow, this is like very real. But when I rewatched it yesterday, right, I'm like, I can see parts of it how they cut and paste together. Certain parts he won't be with the team. Certain parts is like very close up to him. Then I couldn't enjoy the football part anymore. But when I watched it 10 plus years ago, I remember I quite enjoyed the last 10 plus minutes. Yeah, I know. The game against Liverpool.
I get because from what I know, right, the Go movie, they have this history of like they will take like actual match footage, like close-up shots, like how they do it. Then they'll put it into the actual movie itself. Then they'll just blend in the shots where the main characters are in there.
Exactly.
So the thing is that like it's realistic to certain points in a sense where like when people going for tackles, when they get the headers, everything, right, it's all realistic because it's actually what happened. Yeah. But I think like let's say for the training ground stuff and like some of the footage where he's dribbling, right, they only do like half body shots or like upper body shots, right, where you can see his body moving, but he's not actually having close contact with the ball, which is a lot of camera tricks and how to say like a lot of those old school Hollywood tricks that basically like to do footage, right? So that it gives the illusion that okay, this guy has this particular skill set and he's good at this. But whether or not it's how most of us watch with a footballing eye, right? Like footballers like that, I don't know, Paul. Like usually if you're dribbling, right, do you make those sort of movements naturally?
Not the way Santiago moves, lah. He moves so different. His psychomotor is like not even proper one. Like a lot of people say, right? Like you say he don't raise his knees high, he don't look up often. Then the way he runs also very robotic.
Very weird.
Correct.
Yeah, but then because that's why it works for him lah. That's why because people underestimate him so much.
Yes. Because like the one thing that I find that after watching and seeing football for years, right? Like the one thing that I always realize is that, and I was actually shocked about this inside this movie, and one thing that a bit annoys me a bit, right, is that the fact that when he dribbles, right, he looks down a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't look
the
up.
fact that you're looking down in football, right, you're not aware of everything around you, right? So there's no way in heck, right, if you're not looking around you, like that most players are professionals at that, whether it's reserves or first team, right, they're still professionals, right? They will still whack you on it.
Yeah.
So if you're not looking around, right, you're bound to lose the ball more than you're gonna keep it. And it's very obvious because like if you see like Kevin De Bruyne, Modric, right, they scan the field at least 400, 500 times during a game. Right? So their head's always moving around. So the only thing is that yes, it's a football movie. Yes, it's not supposed to be like the most 100% realistic, right? But if let's say you're just talking football realism, right, the fact that he always looks down, right, is actually not a good thing.
Yeah,
it's really not a good
and
thing.
Also from a player perspective, right, the more you look down is you are just indicating to me that you are trying to do something that is like, benefit yourself only, which is like
correct.
Trying to dribble through the guy, or you're trying to go all the way yourself, that kind, like solo.
Correct.
Without looking for the help of your teammates.
Maybe the actor, right, never like Marvel like that, never go through 3 to 6 months pre-shoot training, this kind of thing. That's my only explanation.
Just throw him on the field, that kind.
Yeah, true.
Yeah lah. But I mean, some of the shots that he took were quite realistic lah. But some of it, like you could tell, like the CGI was quite bad.
Yeah, the first goal, the bicycle kill, so it's CGI.
The first goal, the first goal, the CGI is horrible. The kickabout, that was horrible. Like you can see suddenly the Adidas football, the FIFA Nova,
the
right?
trajectory of ball suddenly change.
Suddenly become 3D, then just go to the top corner, then it doesn't even move, it goes straight. And there's no spin on the ball whatsoever. Wow.
But this movie was sponsored by FIFA, right? Or like FIFA supporter
Adidas,
or something.
Adidas.
Okay.
Like, Newcastle was Adidas at the time, I think.
Newcastle was Adidas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Newcastle was Adidas.
Then you see his shoe when he came into the field, is straight Adidas.
Yeah. Then the boots that he changed to, also the red color one, is also Adidas. Then the Adidas, the Champions League football that they train with, right?
Yeah.
Is all Adidas. The only thing that was non-Adidas was the EPL ball. So he had means that he had to use the, I think if
Nike,
I'm not wrong, right, because they were allowed to use all the EPL stuff, right? EPL Nike, right? So it is also backed by the Premier League.
I see.
Yeah. And another thing is when they do like they put players in the frame, like you see, whenever they show clips of the matches, right? But they have to recreate the clip. They will like put some random stunt double and wear the player's jersey, right? So from the back look like what Shea Given, but it's actually not Shea Given, that kind, you know?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
So quite funny.
It's very obvious when you walk down the tunnel, right? When you walk down the tunnel, right, then it's like all these Liverpool players, I have no idea who they are. Then the only time was like when they say like, Milan Barros with the second goal for Liverpool. then after it's like you can see like he has the hair tie and the hairband like Barros like that, right? But you don't actually see Barros' face. They say number 5. But I mean, what can you do, right? You can't get all the players inside the thing. It's like similar like how like really close contact is really Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso does the exact same thing. Like none of they get the kits and everything, but they don't actually get the players involved in the filming lah. But they did get Pep though for Ted Lasso, so that was quite funny. Okay, I gotta ask, right? Since this is the first of a trilogy, right? Go 1, Go 2, Go 3, right? Was this the best of the 3? But I can see that we can officially eliminate 3, right? Because it was.
I think it's close. For me,
it was. I didn't watch it lah. No, I watched 3, but I find that it's not good enough.
Go 2 now, or just like briefly, like is it better than 1 or 2? That kind.
I think maybe we can talk a bit, but we don't go too in depth lah. Yeah,
I think in simple terms, right? Yeah, like Go 1 is to they show how he achieved his dream. Yeah, right. Like from a amateur to a professional. But Go 2 is how he's living the dream. Like where his status of life is really like Real Madrid, that kind, right? Yeah. But I still feel like I prefer Go 1 than Go 2. Personally,
Yeah.
Because of the journey,
Yeah, I prefer Go 1 also. I think my reason is about the same as Paul, in the sense that I felt that Go 1 fleshed out more of the journey of him going from a nobody to being a professional footballer.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that journey more. I felt that there was more content in it. As compared to Go 2, right, I feel that it was a lot of focus about like his broken relationship with his wife or fiancé.
The nurse, right?
I think Ross. Yeah, the nurse called Ross. Then also about his mother. Yeah, I didn't really, I felt that like, I don't really get that part lah. I mean, the part about Real Madrid,
like very convenient but to put inside the story. Put a story there.
Too convenient. Yeah. Then like when you achieve everything already, then like what else is a challenge for you? Then or like family relationship, right? Then
correct. Because I find that like if let's say you were to compare both side by side, right, the storytelling is like I said, like I mentioned a few times, it's very linear. So it's like you expected like A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, right? Then you know that okay, in A to B is this, B to C is this, D to E is this, right? So like the second movie, when certain things happen, like he has a strained relationship with his wife because they are both living in different countries.
Yeah.
Like it's just very easy to just put inside. So I don't know whether is it like lazy storytelling or did they focus overly too much on one point or another. But I do agree that in terms of, let's say, for example, which are the better of the 3, I do feel that Go 1 was the best one of the 3 also. Because I find that people are more invested in the journey.
Yep.
Rather than the investment of like, oh, okay, he's going to mess up his life, or he's going to do something stupid lah. And I think the investment was that, okay, he finally achieved his dream lah. But then the second one sometimes, like, not really say much to be desired, but there are things where it could have been better. Not saying that it's a bad movie. It's just that it could have been better lah. But in terms of movies, right? So I think we all agree that Go One is the best of the three, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now it's like basically on this, right? On terms of football movies, right? Where does this rank? Is this number one?
Yes.
What other football movies are we talking about? Because I only know about Bend It Like Beckham.
That's the thing. Because I was really like cracking my brain, right? And I was trying to think like what other football movies that are there, right? That was done on this type of scale, right? And then there's really not a lot, you know.
Yes, I agree.
I think
Like,
actually Ted Lasso
like,
is not a movie. Ted Lasso is a series, right?
The series.
Yes.
Yeah. So
like,
you cannot
let's say,
count
for
Ted Lasso.
example, correct. So, but if you're talking like by series, right? Series are excluding documentaries, right? Then of course Ted Lasso is number one, 100%.
Yeah.
Like I will tell anybody, right? If you love football, right, go and watch Ted Lasso. Like it is a very good series, like very very good.
They even have comedic elements at the right time.
Yes, correct, and it's very funny. It's super
very funny.
It's very funny. But if you're just talking back to the movie section, right? Like there's really not a lot of football movies in the market or in the world. Like I would say that maybe Go 1, 2, 3 make up maybe about a close good, like especially the ones that are well known, right? Maybe about 30 to 40% of it.
I guess, yeah.
Thereabouts, like, because like I was trying to think like what other movies are there, like then all of it is all the kids movies like Big Green. Big Green, like Air Bud, like when the dog plays soccer. Then Air Bud then got another Air Bud movie, if I'm not wrong. Wrong, right? Other than that, can you name other football movies?
American football movie can lah, but football
movie longest, yeah.
But there's some but there's some, right? Let's say like, you know, Baggio, right? Baggio, if I'm not wrong, is a movie also, right? About Roberto Baggio, but it's Italian.
Oh.
I think so, if I'm not wrong. Then I think there's also
but those are like
called Maradona
about a specific player. Like, you know, Pele, there's a movie called Pele also. Have you watched that?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, that is a nice movie, but I feel it's very... Huh? Yeah, I think you should watch Pele. It's just a story about how he became a footballing icon legend. Like how he won with Brazil.
It's like half movie, half documentary kind of thing lah.
No, because I find that like...
He recreated the movie based on his life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pele.
Those are biopic lah.
Okay.
So I mean, like I wanted to watch it, but just because some of these movies, right, they are written, they're not in English, they are in like Portuguese or Italian or different.
But yeah, you can download the subtitles.
So for us, right, especially when but just that the thing is that sometimes you like me, right, I do a lot of things when I'm watching movies. I like play game, I do other stuff in the background, right? So sometimes it really takes up a lot of attention to go and like really sit there and just like and look at the thing with the whole subtitle, because you want to get the whole context of the entire movie, ma. That type of context.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that
I mean, like,
I watched Pele, right, I still feel Go is better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because the whole movie about Pele is just about the... Okay lah, yeah. It's about to say, I want to say the same thing, it's focus on one player, because so Go also focuses on Santiago Munez.
Yeah, correct. Because like for me, right, there's two other movies that I remember that I do like, which is basically they're all British movies. One of it is called The Damned United. I'm not sure you guys know about this, right? Basically, it's about Brian Clough and his time at Leeds.
Oh,
yeah. Then the thing is that at the time Leeds was the best football club in England, and they were very very well known, right? But then he comes in, right, and he tries to do manage, right? Then he gets a lot of slack because there's a lot of problems. Then there's another movie, I can't remember. There's another movie where it was about after the 1958 Munich disaster.
Oh, okay.
There was one movie. I can't remember which one, right? But I will put the description of the movie at the bottom of the screen, so for people who want to know and want to watch that, I'll just put the title there. I can't really remember it off the top of my head, right? But it's about basically what happened after the Munich disaster, right? Then how Manchester United moved forward after that. Then the main focus on that movie was Bobby Charlton.
Bobby Charlton.
Yeah, because Bobby Charlton was one of the survivors, ma.
One
So
of the
it was
two, I think.
basically yeah. So it was basically how like Bobby Charlton and the next group of players, right? They're not as gifted as the basically the 1958 boys lah. The ones like Duncan Ferguson, Duncan Edwards and Duncan and those players lah. So and Simon Beck. So sorry, Duncan Ferguson, Duncan Edwards. Sorry, Duncan Edwards.
Yeah.
So the thing is that is interesting because for Man United fans, right, the Munich air disaster is a very big deal to us.
Yeah.
So when you have something along the lines that talks about what happens after, right? I was like, I mean, those are a bit more dramatic. They're not as like comical or like as fun as like, let's say for example like Goal or Big Green, everything, right? But I find that those movies are quite good. But even so, I still think Goal is better.
Yep.
Okay, but
Yeah,
since we are going to do another movie review next week, I actually prefer the second movie
in a while. Not next week, in a
But
while.
before the Premier League starts.
I actually prefer the second movie.
But before the Premier League starts, yes, we have one more, a very big one, right? Okay, you want to review the movie or you want to just wait first? Or you should review the movie
Wait first. My point is just trying to say that I prefer the second movie.
That one
over
can challenge
this
Go, I feel, yeah.
Okay,
that one can challenge Go, yeah. That one I like.
that movie is my number. I won't say which number rank lah. I will say which number it ranks to me, right? I think because of a different thing.
That one movie, I don't think, Eldet, you can ask me any of the questions that you asked just now. Whether is it cheesy or realistic or anything.
No, I will flip the questions around for that one. That will be a different topic. Topic. Okay. We will not reveal the movie today. We will reveal it. We will reveal the movie when at an episode closer to when we are about to, or we'll just keep it silent until one day you see a post on Instagram on the Chit Podcast Network saying that this is the movie you're going to review. So yep. So just one quick one before we round out, right? So basically, do any of you actually know what happened to the actors after this movie?
Don't know leh.
I think I know that the guy that played
I know. Glenn Foy, he went on to play Stannis Baratheon, bro. He is right. He's Stannis Baratheon, right? Yeah. And then Gavin Harris was from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Gavin had Jurassic Park. But I think the main actor Kuno Becker, right? Like, he didn't do any English movies after that, predominantly because he's Mexican.
He's a Mexican.
So predominant, a lot of the movies, a lot of the shows and things he did was all predominantly in Spanish. So after this movie, the Go trilogy, this series, right? He predominantly did a lot of Spanish language movies and shows. That's why you don't really see him in like Hollywood movies. So it makes sense lah. But I find that he will forever be remembered as Santiago Munez. Like forever one. Like
of course.
Is for most people, right? When you see Kuno Becker, the actor's name, right? He is Santiago Munez already. That is it already.
And then there's
whereas like for the rest of it, like
there's a lot of people that say that Chicharito is like the story of Santiago Munez.
Slightly different, I feel.
Bro, they are both bench warmers. They're both Mexican. And then they both score in big moments.
But the thing that is the thing. Like I find that let's say for example Chicharito, right? Chicharito was a professional already.
Yeah, actually, but like
he was playing in the
both went to Real Madrid.
He was playing in the Mexican league. But the thing is that the outline of the whole thing, right, is like he went from Mexican league to Man United, then he went to
Real Madrid,
to La Liga lah. Yeah. But he's predominantly known for being a Man United player, which is similar to how Santiago is like he's king in Newcastle, but at the other club he's just one of the guys only.
Yeah, like a bench warmer.
So it's like it's that point. So I find that if let's say you think Chicharito versus Santiago Munez, it's similar but it's also different also.
I mean, like it's the only player that people can relate Santiago Munez to among every single player.
True.
That one true.
The haircut also seems.
Okay, I don't disagree. I think we're similar. Okay, but for the rest, right? The actress name that played Gavin Harris is Alessandro Nivola. Then of course he, like Paul said, like he ended up doing what was it? Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park 3, right?
Jurassic Park 3. He stole the eggs.
No, he did Jurassic Park 3 before Go.
Yeah, that's why I say he went from there to here.
Yeah, correct. So he did Jurassic Park 3, and then some other movies that were things. So after this movie, right, he was kind of quiet already. Not much. They didn't really do much. So for a lot of these guys, right, their peak was this one. I think the only one that made it out was like the guy that played Glenn Foy, which is Stephen Delane lah. So he did like what? He did a lot of movies. Like he was in Zero Dark 30. He was in Outlaw King.
Darkest Hour.
Darkest Hour.
Game of Thrones,
Darkest Hour. Game of Thrones as Stannis Baratheon. So I think the only one that made it big, right, is him, right, and probably maybe if I'm not wrong, Ross Anafriel, the one that did more stuff outside of this movie, outside of this. So that's it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this Go movie review. It was fun for us talking about like the realisticness of soccer movies and football movies. But also, I mean, like for us and for me, right, I think like we also get good impressions about this movie. Like it's a very good memory and strong for us also.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know about you, right? But when Go comes on, right, do you guys like just sit down and watch also?
Always, bro. Sometimes I'll just watch like YouTube scenes also.
Yeah,
yes.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Martin Tyler, right? Always.
Correct. But I also want to say, right, like it was nice to see like St. James Park like in its full glory. Like in a movie, like the whole shot, everything like that, right? Like in EPL, right? Like Newcastle's home stadium, right, is very iconic.
Yeah. There's an iconic scene about St. James Park where he was practicing the set piece by himself.
Yeah.
Before the big game, right? Yeah. He was just kicking the ball. Yeah, I remember that. That one was quite iconic to see the entire St. James Park.
Correct. Because it's like usually for us, right, when we always see the stadium is always full. But then when you see, I find that when you see empty, right, it gives a different feel to the magnitude of the stadium itself.
Yeah.
And how important like Newcastle is to like the people of Newcastle.
Which is why I think Newcastle doing good in the EPL is actually not a bad thing, although they knocked Liverpool out of the Champions League.
I find that it's a very good thing also because one is that it breaks the...
Yeah. They are fourth place also, right? They kick Liverpool out.
Yeah.
Poetic a bit.
No, is one thing, right? But I also find that it's very it's very good because it also breaks the crux of like, always the top four mold. So like no matter what, the top four is always going to be that four. Or at least if let's say for example the top six is going to be this top six. So it's always going to be Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Spurs.
And so Newcastle is actually very solid this season.
Correct.
Very,
and
very
then
good
of course in transfer news, right? Hey bro, Tonali coming here.
Yeah, they signed Tonali. Then now they
Madison, Newcastle signed
Madison go to Spurs.
No, Madison go to Spurs.
Huh? Okay.
They confirmed already, Madison went to Spurs.
Madison going to Spurs. But bro, Newcastle's defense is already one kind already.
Yeah.
You add a world-class CDM now.
Wow. The next Andrea Pirlo.
Like I won't be surprised if they end up finishing like in a few years, like maybe top four again or maybe third or second one.
Yeah, but I think they need to buy a forward.
They got
or just pray that Isak stays healthy.
Yeah, but they have other issues. So yes, of
course.
They need
the Santiago Munez, bro.
yes. They need Santiago Munez.
They need Santiago Munez.
No, Gavin Harris. Yeah, I think Gavin Harris will not survive in EPL in this time and age.
No, Gavin Harris is gonna hunt by this Eddie Howe and Eddie Howe will just X him or sell him one.
But you know what you know there's a running joke throughout the movie about Gavin Harris, right?
What's the running joke?
The running joke is that every single person that meets him, right? Oh, you're Gavin Harris. Yes, I am. You're shite.
You're shite.
They always tell him he's crap. Like all throughout the movie, I don't know how many times, right? It's like they tell Santiago Munez, they say like, oh, you know Gavin Harris, eh? Yeah, can you tell him he's shite?
The taxi driver also, right?
The taxi driver also.
Gavin Harris. Yeah. Yes, you're shite.
They're funny, and then it's like then it's very very funny. So it's like there's the running joke throughout the movie. They're telling Gavin Harris is just crap.
So sad.
Wow, thing. But funny times, man. Funny movie. A great movie overall. I think we're very happy with this movie. Hopefully, for those of you who have not seen it, right, you can just find a DVD, go and see where to find it. Then just watch Go One and Go
online
Two.
also can.
Go on. If you're an avid football fan like us, right? I think you will enjoy Go on and Go 2.
Or you can borrow the DVD from Paul.
I throw already. Later the police come out. I lost it on the move, I think. Yeah. But I don't think if you go Malaysia now, so I don't think they'll sell anymore.
I do not know this situation. I did not hear anything. All right. Okay. So thank you everybody. That is it for this week's episode of the Futbol Kaki. All right, so that is it for this week's episode of the Futbol Kaki. For those of you who are listening, we just want to say thank you, and we hope that you continue to listen to us and our other shows, which are, of course, the Copy Bros, which are every Monday, which involve JY here, and of course, our other SG Draft Bros, which include Midet and Brandon. Then, of course, you have the big game show every Friday, the SG Draft Podcast, where we draft on different topics and have fun while doing it. The three of us are on the show quite regularly, and of course, all three of us have had victories. Finally, I got one monkey off my back. Yes, I have got one victory. So yes, we have a lot of fun doing the draft shows, and we all just enjoy talking, and just like there's a lot of funny moments. We hope that you also continue to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and of course on YouTube. I will put the link to our channel here or something like that. And then of course we just hope that you continue to support us as we grow this particular channel. So from everybody here at the Futbol Kaki and the SG Draft and the Chit Podcast Network and the Copy Bros, we just want to say thank you and bye-bye.
Bye. Santiago Munez.
Goal.